1 year of preparation, 1 season of racing, and it all comes down to this. The global city of London ends the inaugural Formula E Championship, and the drivers that started the first of many dramatic races in Beijing are here to compete for the final prize. The beautiful Battersea Park, which borders the River Thames to the south of Westminster, is the venue for this double-headed showdown. 2 29-lap races across a 2.9-kilometre track on consecutive days. A challenging and intense 48 hours ahead for teams and drivers, as history beckons, one winner.
The penultimate race of the first ever FIA Formula E Championship is about to take place here in London. It's been some 43 years since we had racing around the streets of the United Kingdom's capital city, but that is all about to change this weekend. My name is Jack Nichols. Dario Franchitti and Nikki Shields are down on the grid getting ready to talk to the drivers. But before we focus on the action that's going to get underway here in London, let's look back at the previous race, a stunning event around the Kremlin in the capital city of Russia, Moscow.
Round 9 for Formula E proved that if you're going to design and race on a street circuit, you might as well do it properly. By common consent amongst the drivers, the Moscow circuit was resetting the bar for both location and driver skill. The iconic Red Square, a theatrical backdrop for film stars and teams alike to enjoy another wheel-to-wheel contest as the championship neared its endgame.
It was Jean-Eric Vergne starting on pole position for the Andretti team as the lights went out, but he got too much wheel spin, and that allowed through into the lead of the race Nelson Piquet Jr. for Team China. Everyone was safely through the first corner, and Mr. Liu was happy to see his driver in the lead. Justin Wilson went around the outside of Antonio Felix da Costa on the opening lap, and then da Costa set about trying to pass Jarno Trulli, but every time he got through, Trulli took the shortcut. Bruno Senna ended his race by backing into the barriers, and then the pit stops came. Lucas di Grassi switching over, and the ACT team doing a great job at the pit stop to get him out in second place. Edams left Sebastian Buemi in the pits for 9 seconds too long thanks to a mix-up. Stefan Sarrazin went for a spin at the hairpin, and Lucas di Grassi was pushing hard to try and close in. But then Loic Duval hit the rear of Jarno Trulli, which gave Justin Wilson in the Andretti car 2 positions. The battle was on for third on the final lap, Buemi attacking Vergne. There was contact between the two of them, and that allowed Nick Heidfeld to sneak past Jean-Eric Vergne as well. But up at the front, no one could stop Nelson Piquet Jr. from taking his 2nd win of the season in Moscow.
Thanks, guys. Perfect day. Thank you very much. We're getting close, we're getting close!
Sebastian Buemi was later demoted from 3rd down to 9th thanks to an unsafe release, but it was Nelson Piquet who was the man of the moment in Moscow, moving further clear at the top of the Formula E Championship. And after the stunning sights of Moscow, it's now the stunning sights of London for the final instalment of Formula E racing. 1 race today, 1 race tomorrow in a new double-header format, which is no doubt going to be very entertaining, not least because of the grid we've got coming up for you here today. And we'll go through that grid in a little bit more detail later on. But it's a beautiful day for London's return to motor racing. 23 degrees, the air temperature 32 degrees, the track temperature, a nice cloudy sky, just keeping the temperature down a little bit. And what a circuit this has been for the drivers to race on. 2.9 kilometers, very bumpy, very challenging, very narrow. It really is testing these drivers to their limits, and it's been fantastic to hear them going, this track's a real challenge. It's really difficult for us to deal with, and we're going to see how well they can deal with it throughout the entirety of the race in just less than 25 minutes time now until the racing action gets underway. But of course, the big story this weekend is the battle at the top of the championship. At the top of the championship, it's Piquet, he, di Grassi and Buemi are doing battle for the final 2 races.
With 2 races left, 6 drivers can mathematically win the championship, but Bird, D'Ambrosio and Prost need others' failings as much as a flawless weekend of their own to triumph. After an all-action, highly memorable first season, the real contest is between the top 3 of Buemi, di Grassi and Piquet, who each know what's at stake as the pressure to be champion closes in.
10 cities, 11 races.
Lucas de Grassi is going to take victory.
Some wins.
The checker flag falls, Piquet wins.
And some losses.
He's broken his front right.
Oh no, no.
But now to London. One final track.
I have little to lose. My only mentality is to try to win the race on Saturday, try to win the race on Sunday. For me, I will be fighting for this title until the last corner of the last lap, as hard as I can, and see how it goes.
This championship will be won in a single weekend.
And only one driver can win.
If I want to have a chance at winning the driver championship, I have to win on Saturday. At least I have to be at the front and in front of Nelson. So clearly I'm going to try to push as hard as possible. And whatever happens, obviously it's important to keep in mind the team championship is important as well, but I try hard, very hard.
Take it day by day. We need to focus on Saturday first and forget about Sunday for the moment. You know, it's a one-day show, and Sunday it's going to be a whole new thing. We're going to think about that when Saturday ends. Ideally, it's going to be like Long Beach and Moscow. You know, take the lead and just cruise to the end. So we never know what's going to happen.
3 championship protagonists, 1, 2, 3.
Time for the talking to stop.
Those are the championship contenders. Now let's have a look at the circuit that's going to separate them.
Well, here we are at Battersea Park at the track here, and Karun's offered to give us his guide round, and we'll see what it's all about and what the difficulties of driving a Formula E car around here will be.
Oh, look at the crown of the road. That's massive, isn't it?
The first bit
to start with, but let's get down to turn 1 and 2. That's the wild bit.
Is that when the fun happens?
That's where the real fun happens.
Alrighty.
On board with Karun here, coming down the start-finish straight, getting ready to go through the new turn 1, avoiding the bump, skimming that barrier there, through turn 2, positioning for the start of 3.
So you'll see as we come around the corner, it's actually a really tight hairpin. I mean, lap 1, if we get through lap 1 without a safety car and someone in that wall, I think we can all count ourselves very lucky here.
And here we are coming into turn 3. Look how tight it gets there on the exit. Out of 3, bumpy straight there, coming down to the chicane in turn 4, 5. Those cones there are not going to last long. Down to 6 and 7 now. Again, quick chicane.
It's slightly uphill here, which on a normal track would help you. But look at this, yeah? Oh. You've got camber this way, and then you got camber the other way. So the car's kind of doing this, and exactly where you want to get on the brake, there's a bump.
Into turn 8 here, you'll see the bump on exit as he accelerates out. Coming up the hill, yet another chicane. Right, left, there's going to be some cones.
This chicane and into the next one could be, you know, an opportunity. You set the guy up for a move maybe back at 8, get him to defend there and do him here, or the reverse. You set him up here and do him into the next one.
And here's Karun going through the chicane here in 9 and 10, taking as much curb as he possibly can. Reasonably long straight here. This is where the overtaking is going to happen, a combination of setting the guys up in between these 2 chicanes and up to turns 11 and 12 here.
It's going to be interesting in 200 mode, to be honest, to see if 13, it should be flat. But the question is how much road are you going to, yeah, I think so. But you see this drain, you kind of bottom out on that drain and kind of hops the car out towards the wall.
So approaching this bus stop now, many different ways to take this corner. Where are you going to try and carry the speed? Where are you going to make the compromise? Long exit out, trying to get the power down. Reasonably long straight here up to turn 17. Very tricky entry. Look at the way the wall comes out there. Braking and turning at the same time.
I think you'll start and finish the lap differently around here. I think it's going to be one of those tracks where, you know, you could set it up to start with and finish quicker. But it's a cool track, you know. Tricky, again, with the cambers and everything that we've seen. Chicanes are cool, you know, 2 high-speed ones, big commitment, and 2 technical. A couple of places for overtaking, not the best track for overtaking, but there are a couple of places.
Good man. Karun, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
20 minutes to go until the start of round 10 of 11 here in London. The FIA Formula E Championship reaching its conclusion. Here's a look, fly up the River Thames, heading eastward. There is the Prince Albert Bridge just beneath us, the Battersea Park on the right-hand side, the white action you can see in the middle, that is the pit lane and paddock complex. Battersea Power Station just to the left-hand side as well. You can see the fan zone starting to gather some action as well. It is really busy here. It's fantastic to see the British public embracing the FIA Formula E Championship, and it's going to be absolutely superb to see them racing here. So Dario now has caught up with Lucas Di Grassi, the man who is second in the championship. He's going to be starting third on the grid. Let's hear from him now.
Lucas, 17 points back. How are you going to get these guys today?
It's going to be a tough job. The track here is really difficult, really hard to overtake. We're going to do our best, keep pushing. Again, there is always a limit you can do. We are trying our best, we're doing our best, and grab as much points as we can today. That tomorrow is a completely different story.
Anywhere to pass? Any place you even think you have a sniff of passing?
On the other side, at least you don't have the camber gain. It's more flat, so you can have a go. But it's really, really risky. You have to really be in a position that the other guy has some trouble, or it's just slowing down for some reason. Then you can have a go. If not, I think it will be extremely difficult. We can do the strategy, one lap less, one lap more, and try to get it on the pit stop.
It's going to be hard to do one more lap because it's such a long lap, right?
Also, this is the problem. With a long lap, you have to save even more energy. So to do one lap more is also very tricky.
Well, good luck, man. We'll be watching.
Thanks.
Thank you, man. Big ass, okay.
Lucas Di Grassi will be starting then in third place on the grid. We've got our championship contenders in reverse championship order on the start of this grid, which is absolutely fantastic and very busy track as well. There you can see the city area around St Paul's, the London Eye there on the left-hand side. Really stunning stuff. Now let's hear from our pole sitter, Sebastian Buemi for EDAMS. He is talking to Nicky Shields down on the grid.
Sebastian Buemi, a nice place to be as a contender for the championship title in pole position. How are you going to start this race?
We're going to start it behind the safety car, so that's a bit unusual. We didn't do it in the past, so we'll see what we can do. It's going to be a long race still, so hopefully I can put everything together and have a good result. That's the only thing we have to do if we want to keep our title hopes alive.
And you're going to be watching out because Nelson Piquet's behind you with fan boost.
Yeah, he's behind with fan boost. He always has a fan boost, so no, we'll see. I mean, I cannot interfere with this race. You know, I cannot make him slower or quicker, so I'll just try to concentrate as much as possible on mine.
Thanks very much.
Good to hear from Sebastian Buemi then on pole position. And there you can just about, in the midst of all that, see the EDAMS car. Goodness me, that is one packed grid, isn't it? Fantastic stuff to see. And Bruno Senna there making his way towards the front of the grid. Sir Patrick Head there you can just see down there in the bottom left of shot. And he's turned up today to have a look around, recently knighted Sir Patrick Head. Great to have him here. So it's Sebastian Buemi on pole position. Now let's have a little look back at how he took pole position in what was a thrilling qualifying session earlier on today. These fans were entertained, but it was Sebastian Buemi who was the most entertained of all. Qualifying took place earlier on today. Nelson Piquet had a nervous wait as he watched his championship rivals out on track before him. It was Lucas Di Grassi who initially set the fastest time, a 1:25.1, ramping up the pressure on Piquet. Jean-Eric Vergne was looking for his fourth pole position, but he made a mistake on his first lap. Then on his second lap could only manage a 1:25.182, fractionally slower than Lucas Di Grassi. In the third group of qualifying, Karun Chandok was the highlight, sliding his car through turn 3 and then sliding his car into the wall at the final corner. Then in Group 4, it all came down to a battle between Piquet, Buemi and D'Ambrosio. Nelson Piquet initially went third quickest, but then Sebastian Buemi came out of the final corner to set a phenomenal lap time, almost half a second quicker than the rest of the pack, despite the slide at the final turn. Piquet was pushing hard. He changed his front brake bias and as a result was locking up at most corners. He then jumped up into third place, and then out of the final corner behind him came Jerome D'Ambrosio to take second place for Dragon. Championship leader Piquet will start fourth. Second place man in the championship, Di Grassi second, but it's Buemi on pole.
The car was good. I was in Group 4, so maybe there was a little advantage, but both my laps were good for pole, so I'm really happy with that. Now we just need to make sure we can have a clean race from now on.
Sebastian Buemi will be the man starting on pole position for round 10 of 11 here in the FIA Formula E Championship. There's a look at the skyscraper section of London, the gherkin nearest towards us, the cheese grater there, the walkie-talkie as well. But we can now hear from Emerson Fittipaldi, a double Formula One world champion. Dario caught up with him down on the grid.
Emerson, it's so good to see you here. You raced in Crystal Palace the last time there was racing in the middle of London.
It was a great racetrack, Dario. It was fun, was a beautiful park. I raced Formula 3 and Formula 2. And it's great to be here, back again downtown London, Battersea Park. This is fantastic, Dario.
I know you're a racer, you love racing. What do you make of Formula E?
I think it's for the new generation, for the future. I like it's environment friendly. It's a new technology that has to break through. That one day you'll be on a passenger car. All these teams, they are fighting to get the best performance, how to administrate the energy from the battery, the electrical engine, everything's new. It's great.
Well, thank you for your time, man. It's good to see you.
Nice to see you, Dario.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a legend right there.
Two legends together on the grid, I'd say. Dario Franchitti chatting to Emerson Fittipaldi. And here is the driver photograph at the front of the field. Jean Todt in the centre there, the president of the FIA. Bruno Carrera there on the right-hand side. He's the safety car driver. But Jean Todt, the man who really put all this together. And he's also led the FIA Action for Road Safety campaign, which is what this photo is in aid of. And he's been at an awful lot of the events so far this year. Jean Todt was out in Moscow at the last event actually as well. So you can see the drivers, now that that's all out of the way, they just want to get back to the car, get in the car and get driving the car ahead of the 29-lap race on this 2.9-kilometre circuit. So here's a look at how the championship stands coming into the final two rounds. Nelson Piquet is leading the championship, 17 points clear of Lucas di Grassi, and he's 20 points clear of Sebastian Buemi. So the top three in the field covered by just 20 points. Prost and D'Ambrosio are both in title contention, but it's going to be a really, really difficult thing for them to really take the title to the top three. Sam Bird was knocked out of contention when he didn't get pole position earlier on today. He's in 6th place in the standings. Daniel Abt and Nick Heidfeld complete the top 10. Bruno Senna will be wanting to get up into the top 10 if he can, because he started in 8th position on the grid today. So that's a chance for Bruno Senna and the Mahindra team to score some good points. So far, Senna's best result is a brace of 5th places. As far as the teams are concerned, EDAMS could wrap this up today. They are 190 points at the top of the championship. 143 behind are the Audi Sport Apt squad, so they're 47 points ahead of Audi Sport Apt, and there's only 48 points available for the teams tomorrow, so it's pretty much a certainty that EDAMS will wrap up the title today. So here's a look at the E-Village, which is a huge part in the centre of this park. And the driver autographs were going on earlier today. Really well-attended event this. We're expecting 50 to 60,000 people over the course of the 2 days. There's some karting going on and remote control cars. Really is impressive stuff here. And also the Emotion Club, the home of the VIPs, overlooking the pit lane here. And many of them have made their way down onto the grid ahead of what will be an enthralling 29-lap race. Sebastian Buemi starting on pole position. Interestingly, if they finish like this, the top three will be covered by just 14 points going into the final race tomorrow. But we've got a lot of action to come before we can start guessing about what the results of the race may be. The fan boost announcement mean that Nelson Piquet Jr., Sakon Yamamoto and Oliver Turvey are the drivers who have got the fan boost, and so they are going to be the three men that will be able to use their extra boost for 5 seconds per car, and that was voted on by the fans online. And we can now hear from one of those men, Nelson Piquet Jr. A fan boost for him could be vital. Let's hear from him. He's with Nicky.
Nelson Piquet Jr., a little bit of a challenge on your hands starting from P4, but you've got fan boosts on your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I won't complain. 4th is good. You know, we just need to finish up here in the points today and tomorrow. That's all we needed. You know, we don't need to win a race. The other guys are a little bit under pressure. They need to win a race and do a better result. So as long as we keep it safe, keep it in top 3, you know, have a good strategy, gain a position or 2, we should be good.
Now, obviously, this track overtaking is going to be challenging, but with those 2 fan boosts that you have, 1 in each car, do you think you can use that to overtake Degrassi?
Well, obviously that's going to help, but I think I'm going to count a lot on strategy as well. But yeah, I mean, thank you for everybody for voting us. We got one more time to fan boost, and it's going to help. I mean, for sure, there's going to be one moment that we're really close, and I can use that extra bit of power and try to get by. You know, can be him, can be Buemi, can be any of them. So we're going to try hard, and I'm sure we're going to have a good result.
Well, we're looking forward to finding out what happens. Thank you.
The shades go back on, and Piquet resumes his preparation ahead of the Visa London E-Prix coming up in just 10 minutes time now. There you can see the Ferris wheel out there on the fan zone. And Nicky's also caught up with Antonio Banderas, the actor. That's not him, that's the Formula EJ who's entertaining the crowd. But now we can hear from Antonio Banderas. Fantastic to have him here on the grid. Let's see what he makes of it. He's with Nicky.
Antonio Banderas, great to have you here at Formula E, and I believe you are a big fan of electric vehicles because you own a Tesla.
I'm a big fan of future. And I think actually electric vehicles are the future. Ever since I bought an electric car, you know, it changed completely the perception for me, because I have had, you know, like big cars, big brands. I don't want to say brands on television. That's what I am kind of hesitating, you know. But since I got this electric car, my perception of driving is completely different. And at the same time, in another way, you know, I love to drive racing cars. So I belong to a club in the south of Spain, in a place called Ascari. It's a circuit, 5,700 meters down there, very close to the land where my father was born, in Ronda. And they have several Formula Ones from the past, Jean Alesi, Ferrari, 1996. They got Benetton of Michael Schumacher, and they have Radicals and Lotus and some other cars, and so it's fun. I love it.
Well, I hope you enjoy Formula E and you can embrace that as well. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Great to hear from Antonio Banderas. I'm not sure he's got a 1996 Alesi Ferrari, because I don't think that exists, but good effort nevertheless, and great to hear that he enjoys his racing. It'd be good to have him commentating, actually. That would be much better than my whingy tones, to have him talking us through the races. I'm sure all the fans at home would prefer it.
That's probably actually a good thing. What do you reckon, Jack? I mean, how cool is he, Antonio Banderas? Yeah, he's one of the coolest guys. It's great to hear from him. The grid, it's got back up the grid there. It is rammed. There's people everywhere. There's a lot of famous people there. Yeah, bumped into my old boss, Paul Stewart. A lot of really cool people. Good.
One of those people is Alejandro Agag, the CEO of Formula E. He is going to be talking to Nicky Shields.
Alejandro Agag, bringing back racing to London. Doesn't it look incredible?
Yes, it's a very special day. 43 years later, racing is back in the heart of London, and now it's electric. And I think this is a great symbol of where the times are going.
And amazing to see so much support, especially from Boris Johnson that we had down today as well.
Yes, Boris has been fantastic. He was driving the car around the circuit yesterday, did fantastically well, and he's been a great supporter, like the Wandsworth Council and everybody in London, to make this race possible.
We'll have a great race. Thanks, Alejandro.
So just about 7 minutes to go now before the start of the race. You can see the grid is starting to be cleared, and Sebastian Buemi, the pole man, is getting ready to get into his car. It's a really big moment for the EDAMS team, because they could wrap up the team's championship today.
EDAMS Renault have a 44-point lead in the team championship going into today's race, but that cushion can be easily eroded with Audi Sport Abt, Next EV and even Dragon Racing seeking to capitalise on any slip-ups.
We still have 2 races. We need a little bit of, let's say, a gift from Edams. If they give us a chance, we're going to be there to take it.
We are dreaming about this. This is the first season. It will be very nice. We can win the team and the driver championship. Nelson took 99% of our points, but then we're always struggling for the second driver. Otherwise, we'll be very close to Edams.
We can mathematically win the championship, the Constructor Championship on Saturday, for sure. Even if we win it on Saturday, we're not going to celebrate because obviously if we win on Saturday, that means that possibility to win the Driver Championship. So we have time to celebrate on Sunday night.
There is the grid, primed and ready to go ahead of the first FIA Formula E race here in London. Buemi on pole, that man de Grassi second in the championship, third on the grid. Nelson Piquet, the man leading the championship, fourth on the grid. Dario, what were your assessments of what the grid's like?
Yeah, the atmosphere down there was absolutely fantastic. Very, very busy, as you saw, and all the different people that have been interviewed. Slightly worried about Piquet's mindset. He's a little bit too defensive for me. He's attacked all season. It's worked well for him. He's a little bit too defensive. That might bite him today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out in the next 29 laps. We can now hear from Sir Patrick Head, one of the legends of Formula One, the former Williams man. He's talking to Nicky. So we will pick up with Sir Patrick Head once we manage to get the audio from that. But it would be great to hear from him. It's fantastic to see him here. Knighted only a week or 2 ago, wasn't he? And it was fantastic to see him here. Of course, Williams Advanced Engineering create the batteries for these cars, so they have a good amount to say. There you can see some of the fans in the grandstands watching over.
From my point of view, well-deserved knighthood. I mean, obviously, Sir Frank Williams and him and Patrick, total partners. Great to see him here.
So now let's see if we can hear from Patrick Head. Nicky caught up with him a few moments ago.
Sir Patrick Head, honoured to have you here on the Formula E grid. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I'm just amazed at how narrow it is, but obviously there's a lot of attention. I think it's fantastic to have a race so close to the centre of London, and I hope it's the first of many. Very interesting event, very interesting championship.
And have you been eyeing up the cars? What do you think of the design?
Interesting. Hi, John. Very, very interesting, and Williams are involved with the battery power pack anyway, so I have interest in it from that point of view. But no, very interesting new championship, and I hope it goes on to great success.
You've got the insider knowledge.
Yeah, but it's anyway, it's going to be a very good race, very close for the championship at the end, so looking forward to watching it.
Lovely, thank you so much.
Fantastic to see Patrick Head here, and as I was saying a moment ago, fantastic to see so many fans here as well. It's pretty much a sellout here this weekend, certainly in terms of the public general admission, and this is a view then. You've got Secret Service there on the left, you've got the Vauxhall Tower on the left as well, as we wind around the river heading westwards. Battersea Power Station there straight in front of us, the iconic Battersea Power Station. A lot of redevelopment going along in that area, and then that big green bit on the left, that is Battersea Park. That is where we're racing. That's how far away we are from the centre of London. It's absolutely phenomenal. On the right-hand side, as we look at it, is Chelsea. I think you can just about see Earl's Court there on the right-hand side as well. Fantastic location for a race, and as you can see from the lights, less than 4 minutes now till we get this race underway. It will be starting behind the safety car because of the start of the track. It's going to be a very interesting race, no doubt about that, here in London.
You know, with passing at such a premium round, such a very tight, challenging track, somebody's going to have to be very confident of a move, or very, very aggressive, and which will it be, and that will determine, I think, how many safety cars, if any, we have today, and the nature of this race.
Sebastian Buemi looking focused ahead of him, starting on pole position here in London. London's 43-year drought without a race is about to be ended here in London. Not since Crystal Palace hosted a Formula 2 race in 1972 has there been action in the capital of England. But that is about to change in just 3 minutes' time in the FIA Formula E Championship. Round 10 of 11, and we've got a championship battle that is going down to the wire. My name is Jack Nicholls. Alongside me in the commentary box is Dario Franchitti. We've got Nicky Shields down in the pit lane looking over this Battersea Park circuit. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to see them racing around here. A narrow track, a tight track, a demanding track, and we are really looking forward to getting the action underway. On pole position, on the left-hand side, is Sebastian Buemi. An incredible qualifying performance from him, 4.5 tenths per second clear of the rest of the field. Second on the grid is the man who won the race in Berlin. He only won it after Lucas de Grassi was disqualified, and he's looking to win one on the road for the first time. Third in the grid is the man who is second in the championship. Lucas de Grassi is 17 points off Nelson Piquet at the top, and Piquet is going to be starting right behind him on the grid in fourth position. You couldn't have written the grid any better if you were planning it out. Fifth on the grid, Jean-Eric Vergne. Seriously frustrated with how he performed in qualifying. He only managed fifth on the grid, made a mistake all by himself down at turn 8. And it was a real challenge for him. Sixth on the grid will be Nico Prost, the man who started the year so well, resumes and finishes the championship not in title contention. Seventh on the grid, and with a fan boost, Oliver Turvey making his debut. Wonderful qualifying for him to be in 7th place. Then you've got on 8th on the grid, Bruno Senna. Good performance from him, best qualifying in a while for the Mahindra team. 9th on the grid, another Englishman, Sam Bird, so the two English drivers starting nose to tail pretty much on the grid. Completing the top 10, another good qualifying performance from Salvador Duran in the Amlin Aguri squad. He's come on leaps and bounds since joining the championship in South America earlier on this year. 11th on the grid, Loic Duval. He will be frustrated to see his teammate up in second. Duval had the pace, couldn't quite hook it all together come the qualifying. Nick Heidfeld will be starting 12th for Venturi. And 13th on the grid will be Daniel Abt, and he's going to have to work his way up the order if Abt have any chance of stopping Edam's wrapping up the title today. Stefan Sarazan, 14th on the grid on the right-hand side there, and he was held up in qualifying, really frustrated. Karun Chandok crashed in qualifying, even more frustrated, he'll be 15th. Then we get towards our debutants. Simona de Silvestro will start in 16th on the grid for the Andretti team. 17th on the grid, Japanese racer Sakon Yamamoto. He's also got the fan boost. He's going to be there for Amlin Aguri. 18th on the grid is going to be Alex Fontana, a new Swiss-Greek driver for the Trulli team. He's on the right-hand side. And then we've got Fabio Lima, another debutant, 19th on the grid. And at the back of the grid is Jarno Trulli, because he got a 5-place grid penalty for making up his own circuit design in Moscow. So that is how the grid is going to line up, and they pull away now behind the safety car because the first corner here is so narrow that they decided it's not safe to go 2x2 down towards turn 1. So it'll be a safety car start, and the race has now officially started, but when the safety car pulls in at the end of this lap, that is when we will go racing. We are on lap 1 of 29, so they will be going at a reasonable pace behind the safety car. They're not going to be crawling around like we saw on the warm-up lap in Beijing all those months ago.
Yeah, this is an absolute necessity. They showed up this morning, they'd done a track walk, and several track walks in fact, but the bump was just too big in turn 1, and they had to make this change. And for actually just driving the track, it's not that big a deal, but for racing, it's just too narrow. So a really unfortunate set of circumstances here, and I think they've done the only thing they could do, unless they were going to move the start to another straight or something. Yeah. But once the green flag goes, I still think turn 3 is going to be pretty interesting on that first lap.
It certainly is, because the cars will be absolutely nose to tail. So this is the start of the race. We're on lap 1 of 29, but effectively we're going to get a 28-lap race because the safety car will pull in at the end of this lap on board with Lucas de Grassi, the man who is in 3rd place.
They're going to be doing everything they can here to save a little bit of energy. It is a very long track by Formula E standards, and so anything you can do to save a little bit of power, usable power there, is going to just help you towards the end of your stint, and maybe even open up an extra lap and some type of different strategy. I don't see anybody doing an extra lap today simply because you'd have to save so much energy to make that one extra lap.
Now the pit in is quite early on, it's well before the last corner, so we'll see when Sebastian Buemi starts to peel them in and slow them down and get ready for the start of this race. As we say, for the rest of the race, turn 1 will be absolutely fine. Not wide enough to pass him, but you can go through there flat out, no problem. As they come through this long left-hander at turn 13 now. That's Rosary Gate, down into the final chicane on the course. So up at the front, it's Sebastian Buemi. The safety car pulls into the pits, and we go green in London. Buemi has gone very, very early before he even gets to the final corner, and the racing gets underway. Sebastian Buemi holds the lead of the race and caught everyone else really a little bit unawares.
He did. He went early there. He went as early as he was possibly allowed. Jean-Eric Vergne's fairly close to PK here, but not close enough to make a move. Certainly not through turn 1.
So through they come then to start racing proper.
How bumpy it is down that first straight there. We're going to talk about bumps all day here. We have all season with street courses. This one brings the bumps to an absolutely new level. Anybody that's driven on British roads will know what we're talking about. Look how much of the curb they're using there, though.
Yeah, so the racing is underway. This is through the chicane at 6 and 7. Then they come out onto a little stretch before the run up to Sungate. A tight, left-handed 90-degree corner at turn 8.
Well, you see the cars appear there. There's a massive crown in the road. You can't really see it, and it's so difficult for the guys to brake over there across that crown. And that's where you'll see some people lock in the rears and lock in the fronts as well as they approach that turn 8.
So Buemi leads, D'Ambrosio second, De Grassi third, Piquet and Vergne the top 5. The order is as it was at the start of the race. No one making any moves just yet. And someone dropping back there. That's Loic Duval is dropping back from the back of Salvador Duran in 10th place. And we've got Daniel Abt further back.
Look at the wake that the car creates. You see the trees moving a bit above the track. Something to think about. The leaves that are falling down there, they're going to get caught in the radiators and the inlets of these cars, which is going to create a challenge for just managing the temperature. We all know the electric motor. If it gets hot, it goes into a sort of fail-safe mode.
So the top 4 covered by just 2.7 seconds at the end of lap 2. They come down into the first turn again, the quick left-hander. Watch out for Jean-Eric Vergne trying to make progress, and also keep an eye on these battery energy levels, because Nelson Piquet is pushing hard, I think, in these opening stages. We're on board with him now. He wants to get past Lucas de Grassi in front of him as they run up towards these 2 series of chicanes here. This next one pretty much flat out.
The Piquet, the car we're riding on here, is actually used a little more usable power than the car in front. That's unlike him. So he's clearly, as you say, Jack, pushing hard here, trying to make something happen, trying to get to the front and then manage it from there.
He also has the fan boost, Nelson Piquet Jr., which will give him an extra 30 kilowatts of power in a straight line for 5 seconds. Well, doesn't have to use it in a straight line, but
this is a place to use it if you were going to use it.
He's going to use it now. Nelson Piquet attacking Lucas de Grassi. De Grassi covers the inside line. There's going to be a left-hand chicane coming up now. Is Piquet going to get through? They touch. Piquet's off. De Grassi holds the position. Piquet has to skip across the runoff. Stephen Liu shakes his head, and Jean-Eric Vergne's gone through. Wow. Vergne's getting past as well. He's easy on the outside at turn 13. What a move from Jean-Eric Vergne if he can pull this one off, and he can. He's got the inside line. Piquet has to back out of it. Disaster for the championship leader. He went for it. He put himself on the outside. De Grassi didn't let him through.
And Vergne has nothing to lose there, and Piquet's got a discretion, better part of valor. He's got to just back off, because otherwise he's going to end up at the losing end of that.
We could see him lining it up. We knew it was coming. De Grassi knew it too. So that means Vergne is now up into 4th place. Piquet drops down to 5th.
With all that contact there going into turn 11, 12, he's lucky the car's still in one piece and he's still going.
Yeah, but that is going to be a very annoyed Nelson Piquet Jr., I'd imagine. Jean-Eric Vergne has now done the fastest, on that last lap he did the fastest first sector of anyone. That's how he got right up to the back of the cars in front. Let's look at it again. He's on the outside coming down into the chicane, which you're never going to be able to do it, are you?
No, it's a tough one, even with that speed advantage. But Nelson started to come across and trying to crowd Lucas, and Lucas was having none of it. These guys, I don't think they're big dinner buddies, to be honest. And this again here, watch Nelson start to crowd him because he knows he's in trouble. And then once Nelson starts to crowd him, Lucas just does the same back to him. And well, I'm surprised we've got 2 cars pointing in the right direction. Now look at that.
Great.
That was a big move by Jean-Eric Vergne, round the outside in 13th. And Nelson's got to give up there, because otherwise it's all over.
Yep, lucky that Nico Prost didn't get past as well. There's Jerome D'Ambrosio in second place then. Our race leader is Sebastian Buemi, there in the Edam's car, coming down into the Millennium chicane. The little right and left that goes past the Millennium Park and athletics track on the right-hand side. So he's building up a comfortable advantage, 1.8 seconds clear now. So that was some early excitement for Nelson Piquet and Lucas Di Grassi, and Piquet is the one who's come off worse at the moment, and that is going to harm his championship advantage by losing that position. You also get 2 points for fastest lap in this race as well.
7 points between first and second, correct? 25 and 18.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah, Buemi's looking he's looking quite good right now.
He's looking strong. He'd close in the gap to Piquet quite considerably as they flash through now the second part of that. And look at Jean-Eric Vergne, actually. Jean-Eric Vergne's pushing and is now right up behind Lucas Di Grassi in the battle over third position. As you say, Vergne's got nothing to lose. He can push as hard as he wants. There's Heidfeld, Daniel Abt, Stefan Sarazan. That 5 of 29. And hopefully it's going to be just as entertaining as the opening 5 laps. Because look how close Jean-Eric Vergne is here.
You know, at this point, Piquet's going to be starting to feel a little pressure. He was in the driving seat this morning, excuse the pun, but now he's, you know, Buemi is out there in the lead, got a 2.3 second lead, and he's in the position of controlling the race right now. Piquet's, you know, he's not going to lose the lead in this race, but he's going to certainly, if things continue the way they are, that lead's going to shrink, and it's going to put Buemi within striking distance tomorrow.
Down towards the final corner they come at Chelsea Gate. Over the line and down the start-finish straight again. There's Buemi, Raider, D'Ambrosio second. Third is Lucas Di Grassi, and he's got Jean-Eric Vergne just half a second behind him as they come down towards turn 1. God, they throw it in there, don't they, when they're going nose to tail. Spectacular stuff. A little feint towards the inside line from Jean-Eric Vergne. Vergne's really got this car hooked up.
He carried a lot more speed through 1 there, which sets him up to get close into 3, but he's just, he cannot, I don't think, make the pass into 3. The area we saw there, the 9, 10, 11, 12 area is where it looks to be where it's going to happen.
He very close coming into turn 8, the left-hander at Sungate, and now they come into the Lake Chicanes. That's where it all kind of happens through the first one. Look how much they go up on the rear there. Vergne's dropped back a little bit.
Yeah, just that bump there between 8 and 9, you get a little bit airborne. And it makes it a bit interesting.
Fantastic stuff. You can see that they're using similar amounts of power at the moment, so Vergne is just hooking it up a bit more. Vergne's got less energy available, but in terms of their actual power output in kilowatts, they're running at a similar level.
What you've got to be careful of here is you don't just miss a lap by a corner or so with the power. You know what I mean? You've got to make sure you get on that same lap as everybody else to pit. If you miss it by 1 lap, you're really putting yourself up against it on the second for the second car.
So down they come into the left-hander at Chelsea Gate once more to complete lap 6. That's Vergne and Di Grassi's radio that we've got. Both of them faded up as they flash into the first turn. Piquet Jr. is dropping back a little bit now. 57% of energy remaining as well. So I thought Piquet might have gone into super conservative mode now that he's dropped back. That might be the way he'd approach it, but he's got the least amount of usable energy compared to anyone.
And he has used his fan boost.
Yep.
And he's dropping back from Vergne quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that.
Yeah, again.
Vergne out of shape coming into Sungate. That could give, Di Grassi out of shape coming into Sungate. That could give Vergne an opportunity as they bounce up towards the Lake Chicanes now, but again, still not quite close enough.
Well, I mean, Vergne is filling Di Grassi's mirrors here, and Di Grassi knows, he's not a stupid boy. He knows for a fact that Vergne is just, doesn't care. He has nothing to lose, and he's setting him up here for a move.
This is a good opportunity for Jean-Eric Vergne. Looks to the outside, just like Nelson Piquet Jr. did, but that'll compromise Di Grassi's run in. Can Verne get it on the way out through the long left-hander at Rosary Gate? This is a great battle between them. I don't think he's quite going to have the pace this time around. Feints towards the inside line.
What a move!
Jean-Eric Verne goes through into third place. Wonderful move from the Frenchman, and he's up into fourth past Degrassi.
I was just about to say, a bit too far back for a lunge, but apparently not. Great job by Jean-Eric Verne.
Wow. You can't overtake on this circuit.
You can't,
Nice
no.
move, nice move. Let's work on getting D'Ambrosio.
So that's the team.
Shot at 9.
That's the team radio just saying.
Roger Griffiths there on the radio.
Yeah, good move. Get on with it. D'Ambrosio's in second. You can close him down. Verne has used a lot of energy compared to the other drivers. You can see he's got 6% less than D'Ambrosio in front of him, but Piquet's on a similar level.
Well, I'll tell you what, right now, Jean-Eric Verne is the best friend of Sebastian Buemi and Lucas Degrassi, having taken those points, sorry, of Piquet.
Do you think he meant to overtake here? Or did he just snatch the brakes and had to?
No, he was making the move, but then the brakes snatched. These brakes are comfortable at a certain amount of brake pressure, and then they lock very quickly, and that's what we just saw there, but he managed it well.
And that all started back at those chicanes.
Yeah, and that was what Karun said on the track ride yesterday. If you're setting them up there, you can make them. You said it yourself. He's compromised his next exit. He did it and nailed it. There's a happy team there.
Yeah, absolutely. Roger Griffiths, the man in the middle there, is the one who would have come on the radio to Jean-Eric Verne. So Buemi still leads this race, and if things stay like this, he'll just be 3 points behind Nelson Piquet at the top of the championship. So Piquet would still lead, and then Buemi would be 3 points behind in second place. He'll have hauled himself right back into contention going into the final race of the season. Jean-Eric Verne is desperate to try and climb up the order. Still, he's gone purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2, which means he's setting the fastest sector times, and he now sets the fastest lap of the race and takes 0.6 of a second out of D'Ambrosio ahead of him in second position.
But he's got to watch his usable power. It's great doing that, but if it's the expense of using a lot more usable power than the guys around you, it's a false economy.
That might be one of the EDAM's radios, because it's in French. We're on board with Nelson Piquet Jr. then. 5th place, and I mean, you did say on the grid you didn't feel too happy with how he was.
No, I just felt he was getting too defensive, as I said, and I spoke to a couple of guys in his team actually, and they said the same thing. They were a little concerned about it. But he has proved he can dig himself out of some holes, so yeah.
11.0.
So that's Piquet's team radio, and you can see here that actually this shows that he'll be 5 points behind Nelson Piquet at the top of the championship. So this is the points prediction that Nelson Piquet would be on 138, Buemi would be on 133.
You've got to say right now, Buemi's pace, you wouldn't bet against him scoring 5 more points tomorrow. I know this is predictions right now. You wouldn't bet against that happening, would you? And again, it's a bit of a worry. It's amazing how quickly these things can turn when the pressure's on, and I thought Nelson was looking nice and relaxed this morning, and he's just maybe gone on the defensive mode. Maybe the car's not handling. What do we know back here?
Nothing. Very
I certainly don't.
So we're now on lap 10 of 29.
9.9.
And again, we're hearing some of the team radio.
Was that Buemi's the first
Prost
one?
and Piquet.
Was it Prost and Piquet? Prost is working hard in the car. He's breathing hard, his pulse rate's up. Whereas, Piquet sounded just nice and relaxed.
So Jean-Eric Verne now is closing in rapidly on Jerome D'Ambrosio in front of him. Just 0.8 of a second behind now in the Andretti car is Jean-Eric Verne. Dragon versus Andretti. Penske versus Andretti. And there is Sebastian Buemi leading the way, coming into the lake chicanes. You can see the lake there on the left-hand side as they come down towards the second one, and then through the really long left-hander.
Quite deceptive, the entry to this chicane, because you see a sort of a break in the wall, and the wall fades away. So it's actually deceptive where that corner is. It's a bit further down the road than you actually think. Then through this long turn 13, what a great corner that is. Braking for the bus stop here.
Buemi is leading the race and also has the most energy of anyone in the top 7. He is really hooked up this weekend. Sebastian Buemi really determined to take the title fight to Nelson Piquet. Fabio Lima there in 18th place for Virgin. You can see as munched through his energy.
Yeah, that's a rookie to the series right there, and that's part of it, is going quick while saving the energy, and it's something a lot of these guys have really mastered this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Down towards the left-hander. I think it was Karun was saying after.
Look at the speed Vern carries through turn one. I would say that's probably where most of his lap time gain is, just in turn one, with pure bravery.
6 or 7% less than the men in front of him, so he's on an all-out fight for track position.
Yep.
And then worry about saving the energy once you've got that track position.
And clearly that's the same plan that the team are on, because they didn't hold him back and say, okay, start saving energy. They said, go get him, go get the next one, which is great. It's great for us to hear.
Absolutely. But yeah, Karun Chandok said after a year of doing Formula E, he went to Le Mans and was immediately just 5% more efficient. Without even thinking about it, he was saving 5% more fuel than normal, just because of the way he'd learned to drive.
I totally agree with that. It's something that doesn't really come in with F1, certainly GP2, there's not too much of it, whereas certainly Formula E is a big thing. IndyCar as well, you learn that from a very early age with the way, the size of the fuel tanks, the strategies of the races, and clearly in Formula E it's at an absolute premium, and you're seeing the results of it here.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating stuff as they flash through there.
Sam Bird's pretty close up behind Bruno Senna there.
Yeah, just half a second between them in the battle over 8th position. Now, to do a lap here, the estimations are you need about 6 to 8% of the reading you see on the left-hand side. In Moscow, it was about 6%, and but here it's a slightly longer track, and Vern is 6% down on Buemi and D'Ambrosio, so he may be planning on pitting a lap earlier.
And Nelson Piquet is right there with him. Using that amount of energy, which is so unlike Nelson, so he must be struggling in there a little bit.
Yeah, this is really unlike Nelson Piquet, running in 5th place at the moment. So Buemi, D'Ambrosio, Vern, De Grassi, Piquet, the top 5. If it stays like this, the gap at the top of the championship will be cut down to just 5 points between Piquet at the top and Buemi in 2nd place. As we mentioned earlier, it's the battle for 2nd place between the two American squads, Dragon and Andretti. But that battle seems to have calmed down a little bit now. Whether Jean-Eric has been told, okay, you had a go at catching up to him, but now we've got to be sensible.
Yeah, he's still catching him a bit, but it might have reached that critical point where he's not going to make the same lap as the other guys, and it becomes a problem. You know, if you start saving from the start of a stint, that's one thing. If you suddenly told with 2 laps to go, by the way, you need to save us, it becomes an issue, and you've got not enough time to do it. Now, but Sam Bird all over the curbs there, and catching Bruno Senna.
Yeah, this is the battle over 8th position. Bruno Senna in the Mahindra. Oh, Sam Bird, I thought he was going to go for it there.
He thought, didn't he? He thought about it, and then and you could see Bruno knew that he thought about it, and a little jink to the right as well. So if you're going to make a pass here today, you're going to have to be so aggressive.
Yep, there's the Sambu spanners that are out in force at Sam's home E-Prix. Sebastian Buemi has just set the fastest lap of anyone by about half a second. Really good stuff from Buemi, so that really increases his, that's what takes it down to 3 points. So you remember earlier I said the gap would be 3 points. That was when Buemi had fastest lap. Then Vern took fastest lap, so it went to 5 points. But now Buemi has taken fastest lap again. The gap would be 3 points as it stands. So that gap is going to fluctuate as various people take the fastest lap, because you get 2 points for the fastest lap.
So if you're Piquet's team or De Grassi's team, do you send your teammates out and try and go for just for the fastest lap to take those points back off Buemi in the second half of the race?
Well,
Daniel App's 13th, for instance.
Yeah, that's very true. So it's the sort of thing that Nico Prost might be doing as well, in 18th position.
Only if, yeah.
Now Oliver Turvey's having a really strong race. I'm properly impressed with Turvey. He is just 2 seconds behind Nico Prost in front of him. His first ever time in the Formula E car this weekend.
And right there on, on power left, and usable power left. And, it's not, with usable power, we talk about it all the time. It gives us an indication, because as we've said, it's easy to go quick and use power, but to go quick, it's essentially you're using more horsepower than other people.
Yeah.
But to go quick using the same or less power, that's when you really see who's doing the job right. And Oliver Turvey, first time in a Formula E race, and he's right there. Piquet is eating through the power today, though. Look at that.
This could be Piquet's final lap before he comes into the pit lane. This is the battle over 10th place. Salvador Duran is in that 10th place, the final points-paying position at the moment. And this is Bruno Senna battling with Sam Bird. Oh, and a branch comes down from the tree and gets obliterated. That was spectacular stuff. And Bird still chasing down Senna. That 14 of 29, so we're almost at the halfway mark. Piquet's coming in this lap, I reckon, because he's just set the fastest first sector of anyone.
He has to, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, that's true.
He really has to come in. He's up against it now.
But we're at the halfway point. He'll be coming in on lap 15 of 29. So, in general, it's not like he's pitted really early.
Plus, these guys did 2 laps. They did a sighting lap and well, actually 1 lap, sorry. They did the sighting lap before the race.
Yeah.
And they used some energy on that. Oh, here's all the teams lining up. Both next EV Team China guys out in the pit lane there.
Yeah, Turvey is coming in as well. Now, Piquet's only got 3% left. Where on the circuit is Nelson Piquet? He's just coming into the final chicane, so keep your eyes to the right here, and you'll see Piquet coming into the pits. We follow Buemi as he disappears off, but there goes Piquet into the pits, and so I think he would have got through just about with the right amount of energy remaining as he comes into the pit lane now. But Buemi continues to lead. This is a strong performance.
Yeah. Very, very strong. He's got Yamamoto on fan boost there.
Yeah, in comes Sakon Yamamoto using his fan boost.
So he's coming in. He's coming next lap, isn't he?
Now he's got some clear air. He decides to use it, I think.
Yep. Here we go.
So in comes Nelson Piquet. So Werner's come in as well, as has De Grassi. So actually Piquet's kind of used his more efficiently because he had less than all the others, but they've all come in on the same lap. Fabio Lima's been in and out again. That's what the little C means next to Lima's name. That means he's changed his car.
Hopefully no mistakes in the pits today by any of the teams. We had the situation in Moscow where the EDAMS team thought incorrectly the minimum pit stop time, and it caught them 10 seconds. Look at Piquet, look at those eyes.
Get going.
Looking at the engineer.
Floors it. He's going to come out still behind Lucas de Grassi, and presumably up in front of that, Jean-Eric Werner's left the pits as well. Yes, I think he has. He'll just be coming out of the pit lane now.
Such a tight exit, pit lane exit. You cannot believe. I was surprised how tight that pit lane exit is.
Yep, and they all go inside the 1:19 pit stop time and resume the circuit. Now in comes race leader Sebastian Buemi. How many times do you think they will have checked over the stewards' bulletin ahead of this one? Because last time out in Moscow, they didn't read the bulletin and thought the pit stop time was something completely different to what it was, and ended up waiting in the pits 9 seconds longer. Sam Bird now leads the race at his home Ypres. D'Ambrosio's quite close, actually.
Yeah, he's done a good job there. He's done a good job sticking with it.
In they come. On board with Buemi as he parks up, and then the quick driver change.
Notice they keep the wheel in place in the second car. All the guys are doing that now. They've clearly developed a system, and they've looked and analysed the quicker teams doing it. And you know, a lot of these guys are used to doing driver changes, but obviously in Formula E this year, doing car changes for the first time. And you can watch each week teams get more comfortable with it.
Sakon Yamamoto has come into the pit, so it's just now the 2 Trulli cars and Sam Bird for Virgin, who are still out there on the circuit. So out comes Buemi, well in front of the Dragon car of Jerome D'Ambrosio. So this could be a change here for second place, because D'Ambrosio seems to have had quite a slow pit stop. We're on board with Lucas de Grassi, but out comes Buemi now. He hits the pit stop time. Now, how slow was D'Ambrosio? Identical. So he loses the back end coming out, but here comes Jean-Eric Werner in the Andretti on the left-hand side. D'Ambrosio chops across, holds on to that second place, but I wonder if
Sam Bird's going to be close to making it here.
He's got 2% of usable energy remaining, but I thought that it was a bit of a slow pit stop in the end for D'Ambrosio, but they nailed it. He must have just been really quick coming into the pits. Out comes Daniel Abt further back. He's going to come out side by side with Loic Duval. This is going to be a little bit fun.
Especially that yellow flag coming.
Exactly. Oliver Turvey's using his fan boost, and he's the man in the middle of this pack here, flying into the first corner. I think he used it to defend from the Venturi car that was coming out of the pits alongside him. So, and now he's attacking Daniel Abt up into the left-hander.
Well played, Turvey. Well, what a great pass there. Well done.
Good stuff from Oliver Turvey. He overtakes Daniel Abt, who he was in front of anyway. So did he have a slow pit stop, Oliver Turvey? Yes, 10 seconds too long, Oliver Turvey. So there must have been a problem in there for the Englishman, because he's come out of the pits 10 seconds further back from where he was. Oh, and that's running wide.
Twice. Has he got an issue with the right front? Has he hit the wall?
That allows Stefan Sarazan to get past him. He's going to hold the inside line, Daniel Abt. Sarazan comes across and covers it off. And now the Amlin car attacks to the outside. A bit of contact. Durant forces his way through, and they both just about make it past. But Daniel Abt must have picked up a problem because he's gesticulating there, not happy with Salvador Durant.
Not going to help things, is it? Great pass by Durant. I mean, that was right round the outside here. Sam Bird.
Yep, making his way out of the pits after he took the lead. Lap 17 of 29.
Let's see here.
Everyone else pretty much nailed it except for Oliver Turvey, so...
20, yep. Sam was 1:23.
Slow stop actually for Sam Bird. 5 seconds slower than it should have been. And he's going to come out behind this battle. He was up behind Senna, who's just flashed through shot in front of us. So now it's Senna, Duval.
Oh, something's in the wall.
Oh, it's Daniel Abt. Daniel Abt has gone into the wall at the final turn. Daniel Abt in the wall at Chelsea Gate.
That's 3 times in 1 lap. Something must have happened to that car because he went off in 3, off in 8.
Now then, you know what the time is? Safety car o'clock, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I would
it hasn't been announced yet, but it'd be surprising if we didn't get a safety car. Look at Heidfeld. This is a great corner.
Nick was rather on it there. Oh, look at the Venturi boys just are ignoring the chicane.
Yeah, just doing their own thing. So Daniel Abt in the wall, out of the race. Real shame for the German.
Got to be a safety car where that car is, right?
You'd think so. He's still parked there in the wall, still shaking his head. As across the line there comes Jarno Trulli. And the Abt team really frustrated. And I think, at the moment, Edams are going to wrap up the title because they've got Buemi in first place, Nico Prost in 6th. And you can see the yellow flag there at the final corner. Everyone having to avoid it.
Why the safety car hasn't been deployed yet.
Daniel Abt wants to go across the track back to the pit lane, but I don't think that's a sensible idea. Dan?
I'm not sure that'll be allowed.
Oh, and Sakon Yamamoto stuck at the pit exit. The Amlin car appears to have run into trouble on his way out of the pit lane.
Do a quick reset of the systems.
A power cycle is the technical way of safety car deployed. Safety car has been deployed. So, Daniel Abt, he was well deep here for no reason.
But it just didn't turn. It was a little deep, but it didn't turn.
But then it happened again on the next corner.
Yep.
Here, battling with Stefan Sarazan.
That caused it. That running wide caused this issue. So turn 8, running wide 8 allowed the Amlin car to get alongside it.
And there was a bit of a touch here, so maybe some damage
wrong
came
side of the
here.
car.
But there wasn't that much of a hit. But then this is the moment.
Yeah, locked him up.
Yeah.
Look how much understeer. There's something weird going on with the right front of that car.
No, there's no way that Abt would have made that many mistakes on 1 lap. So there's the Qualcomm safety car, waiting to pick up the leader. First safety car we've had since Monaco, I think. We went 2 races without it in Moscow and Berlin. And there is poor Daniel Abt. A real shame.
He's breathing heavily, isn't he?
Yeah.
The old adrenaline kicking in there.
So that means that Edams go 1 step closer to wrapping up the team's title. They had a 47-point advantage, and there's only 48 points available to the teams tomorrow. So it's pretty much in the bag. So we've got the safety car out on circuit. The Qualcomm safety car picks up the leader, Sebastian Buemi. And that'll close it all in and will make it interesting because these guys may now be much less energy limited for the remaining, well, when the safety car comes in, 9 or 10 laps. So here's a look at how the championship would stand if the race were to finish like this. It would be a 3-point gap between Piquet at the top and Buemi in 2nd place. De Grassi would end up not quite being out of it, but a good 15 points back down the road. So he's not totally out of it, but really not the kind of result he'd want.
You've got to like Buemi's chances if that's what it ends up looking like today for tomorrow's race here in Battersea. You've got to, if I was Piquet and I had lost that kind of lead overnight, I would be a bit worried tomorrow.
Wouldn't come back tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I'd definitely come back, but I have my tail between my legs a bit. So whatever's happening with the next EV Team China guys, they better figure it out.
What an entertaining race we're having in the FIA Formula E Championship, the final meeting of the season.
From a purely patriotic point of view there, with Sam Bird in P10, Oliver Turvey P11, they were having such good races, and both of them had long pit stops. A real shame.
Yeah, I feel so sorry for Oliver Turvey. So the top 5 cars, all their team radios are open.
From the start, correct?
That's
Yeah, copy. I did adjust already, so I went on B3.
that's Oriol Serbia talking to Jerome.
Ambrosio.
Good man, dude. We're looking good, honestly. This could be a good end of the race. P8 right now. At the front, they were a little bit hot fighting. So, you know, there could still be more yellows. I think you're looking good.
I think that's him talking to Loic Duval now as well, Oriol Serbia. As you said, you're P8 now. We've got all the top 5, well, we had all the top 5 team radios open. So let's now hear from Mark Schneider from the Abt team. Do they know what happened to Daniel Abt? Because it looked very strange. He's down in the garage while we're behind the Qualcomm safety car talking to Nicky Shields.
Mark Schneider, disappointing obviously for Daniel Abt. Do you know what actually happened? Was there damage to the car?
Well, Daniel's not back in the pits yet, but what he said on the radio, he's having a hard fight with some Emlyn car and with his China car. That was a good battle. It was great for the spectators, but obviously something broke on his car because he said the steering just went straight, so it was nothing he can do. So I surely believe it's not been his fault, but it's a shame. You're right, yeah.
A big shame, and then obviously it slightly takes you out of contention for the team championship.
Yeah, but as you know, we're fighting for everything we can get. Team championship, driver championship. I mean, this weekend it's all or nothing. It's all in, as you say, in a poker game. So we fight until the very last lap.
And what do you think about De Grassi's progress at the moment?
Well, I think everybody saw the move when Nelson Piquet uses his fan booster after 2 or 3 laps, and the great defending of Lucas De Grassi. So these 2 Brazilians, they're really giving a great show to the public. So that's what people want to see.
Great, thanks very much.
He was right, it was very entertaining. I got very high-pitched as ever, and but De Grassi held on to that place, and as a result, it's spicing up the championship nicely for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely right. He was very politically correct the way he did it. It's been a good, those 2 good battle, and he's going to be disappointed with losing Daniel Abt. But Daniel's been quick all season, but he has been a magnet for trouble. A lot of it not of his own making.
There's the fan zone, and giving us a wave down there. Great to see so many fans out there watching on, and it really has been a successful event here in London so far. Anyway, I don't want to put the curses on it, but a great amount of spectators have come out here, and some great food out there as well. But anyway, that's a different story. 10 laps to go here in the FIA Formula E Championship, and it'll be 9 laps without the safety car, because the Qualcomm safety car will be coming in this time around. Now, we've got Alex Fontana in the middle there. I think he's one of our back markers. He's in
P18.
3rd in the train, the Swiss-Greek racer, former Formula 2 race winner, GP3 driver as well, with Genza Racing. Stepped into Trulli at the last minute. And Jean-Eric Verne is saying, go away or hurry up. I'm not quite sure what Verne's trying to get at, but
probably a bit of both.
So Nelson Piquet, of course, still has 1 fan boost remaining.
Nelson was adjusting the brake balance there with his left hand. If you see him down there, he was adjusting because of the different temperature in the brakes and stuff like that. And the guys will be adjusting that all through that 1st and 2nd laps.
Piquet needs to close in on these guys because the safety car is pulling in now. Well, this time, Buemi's tucked right up behind the safety car, and away they go, racing once again. Fontana gets straight out of the way. Good work from him, but that means that Jean-Eric Verne is not that close to Jerome D'Ambrosio in front. We're on board with De Grassi, down towards the final corner at Chelsea Gate, riding the curb on the left-hand side. 9 laps to go here in London. Buemi leads, D'Ambrosio 2nd, 3rd is Verne, 4th is De Grassi, 5th is Piquet. Piquet still has 1 fan boost left to use, though. That'll give him an extra power for 5 seconds, and that could be crucial in terms of the championship battle.
Yeah, the leaders here. Look how good that Andretti car is on the power out of the corner. It keeps gapping them out of the tighter corners there. Piquet's closed, or did close up there, lost it a bit in the middle of the corner, but closed up on Lucas De Grassi.
On board we go with Nelson Piquet now.
Look at the cambers there. Look at the car leaving the ground through turn 8. Again, this is the point of the track you can actually make something happen and overtake. If you can get them into defensive position, you can compromise the car in front's exit and maybe get them in the next bit. You hear the car bottoming there on the crown of the road.
Into the right, into the left.
first gear there in that chicane. Pretty long gears in the old Formula E car, and some of the tighter chicanes you have to be in first.
Piquet dropping back a little bit now from Lucas Di Grassi. Now it's all about that usable energy on the left-hand side, and really you don't, I mean, you still need to look after it, but having more than anyone won't really achieve you too much come the end of the race. Sam Bird's got a lot to burn through because he stayed out a lap longer than anyone else. So he's got 77% of usable energy remaining there in 10th place.
Yeah, you don't get a refund if you don't use all that energy. So you've got to get as close to zero when you cross that checkered flag as you can, and gain as many positions if you can through that.
On board with Di Grassi in 4th and Piquet in 5th. As the graphics are the other way around to the pictures, but we've got Piquet on the left-hand side, Di Grassi in front of him on the right-hand side, as they swing into the chicane, and again Piquet's closed in a little bit now.
Yeah, he's very good at that first segment of the track, isn't he?
Yeah. Really lobbing it through that chicane. That's fantastic to see. Bird is tucked right up behind Nick Heidfeld in front in the battle over 9th place. All nose to tail as they filter through. They figured out.
Was very wide there out of turn 8.
That could give Bird an opportunity as they come down towards the lake chicanes and disappear under the canopy of trees. Really spectacular place for a race, this, and we've only got 8 laps to go. Buemi it is leading the way, D'Ambrosio in 2nd. This would mean Buemi slashes the gap to championship leader Piquet to just 3 points going into the final race tomorrow. Here's Bird attacking.
Yeah, he's got him defending here. Heidfeld's having to defend, so maybe Sam can make something happen.
Through the long left-hander at Rosary Gate. He's not quite close enough for a move coming down into the chicane. Oh, it takes a lot of curb and a lot of speed, actually, through that chicane. Down towards the final corner at Chelsea Gate. Lock up in front from Lucas Di Grassi, and he in turn is right up behind Jean-Eric Vergne. Now, Vergne's not in the title fight, but if Di Grassi can get past Vergne, he gains more championship points.
Yep, absolutely. Any spot you can make, and any spot you can make, especially on a championship rival, you're going to take.
On board again with Nelson Piquet Jr. Right up to the back of Di Grassi. Through the left-hander at Prince Albert. Now out onto the little stretch that takes you towards the first sequence of chicanes. Here we go on board with them.
Watch how quick this next chicane is. Absolutely flat.
Yeah.
The exit curve doesn't even exist. And a car in the air there trying to brake for 8.
And this is where Piquet just starts to drop back a little bit. Doesn't quite have the same momentum he does in the first couple of corners.
And this is where he needs to be there. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is where it's all happening. And as we saw before, that pass into 14 that Jean-Eric Vergne did earlier in the race.
Rattling over those curbs.
Sam Bird is right there. Absolutely on the gearbox of Heidfeld.
Sebastian Buemi has a 1-second lead at the front of the field. Jerome D'Ambrosio in 2nd place for the Dragon team. 3rd is Jean-Eric Vergne, and then it's Vergne, Di Grassi and Piquet all in a line over 3rd spot. Sam Bird has just set the fastest middle sector of anyone. Another lockup, I think, from Di Grassi as they came down into the Millennium chicane, now down towards the final corner once more. Through goes Buemi, through goes D'Ambrosio, through goes Vergne, through goes Di Grassi, through goes Piquet. And Piquet is closer than he's been for a while, coming down the start straight into this first corner. Listen to them coming through. Well, just cut away from it, but really quick turn 1.
Even with those barriers there, turn 1 is still a quick corner.
And Di Grassi feels the need to go defensive, and that could give Piquet an opportunity now. Through the left-hander at Prince Albert. It's not quite wide enough to actually get the drive out.
Nelson needs to be careful doing that. If he goes alongside him on the outside, Lucas squeezes him into the wall, it's all over.
Yeah.
He should. There was a bad move there to put the car in that position. Easy said from the commentary booth. Look how close.
Heidfeld.
And Sam Bird is right with Heidfeld, though. Absolutely with him.
Piquet's using his fan boost now, so we're on board with him, and he's not quite close enough. So that was an odd decision to move it. Was he looks to the inside, coming into the chicane. Di Grassi with a last-minute defensive swerve.
Yeah.
Piquet not quite close enough still.
That's it.
Now into the next chicane. Di Grassi still feels the need to go defensive.
The question is, was Nelson turning it up or down on the...
He's going to get a good drive out of here, just like we saw Jean-Eric Vergne do. He's nose to tail.
How brave is he feeling?
Coming down into the Millennium chicane. What's Piquet going to do? Absolutely with his championship rival, Di Grassi. The back end gets out. They almost make contact. They both survive. Incredible racing.
Great racing. There's defending, though. I mean, what can you do in such a tight circuit when they're defending like that? a little tap might be in order.
Bruno Senna's been given a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. A real shame for the Brazilian. He was having a great race up in 7th place, but it's all over for him. But the nerves are really kicking off now. The two championship rivals nose to tail, while the other championship rival, Sebastian Buemi, is a second clear up at the front. Super wide, Piquet.
That was wide. I mean, did you see the oversteering moment there? Well held by Piquet. Yeah, these two are squabbling here, and Buemi's running away with all the cash.
Yeah. 5 laps to go. We're on lap 25 of 29 here in London. Through goes Verne. Through goes Di Grassi. Through goes Piquet. Is that Piquet's chance gone now?
Well, he's used that. He's used the fan boost, hasn't he? He's going to have to work bloody hard to get close without the aid of that fan boost, and even just to close that gap now is going to take something.
So this is how it would stand. 3 points clear, Nelson Piquet Jr. would be. Someone using their fan boost out there. 3 points clear of Buemi in second place. Di Grassi would be third. 15 points back on Nelson Piquet. And Di Grassi's just set the fastest middle sector of any. Look, Di Grassi's just disappeared. Look at that. There's Di Grassi. There's Piquet.
And he's... Yeah, maybe they've decided, OK, you've got enough energy to get to the end. Have at it.
Unless they were... Well, let's have a look at the... unless it all came from here where Piquet made the mistake. Maybe that cost Piquet time.
Time? It nearly cost him the whole championship there. But he lost it on the way in on that one big bump. And he just spent the whole rest of that corner gathering up. A great job by Nelson gathering it up. Bruno Senna's serving his penalty there.
Yep.
Sam Bird is all over the back of Loic Duval here.
This is the battle over 7th position. Sam Bird in the Virgin machine. Coming down into turn 1, listen to this.
Nicely done, Sam.
Yeah, that was a lot of momentum through there for Bird. Not quite close enough to make the move into Prince Albert, though.
And it looks like you could do it. It looks like there's enough room, but unfortunately the cambers and the bumps of the road and everything, it's not a viable move.
Now, Di Grassi's just taken the fastest lap away from Sebastian Buemi up at the front. So Lucas Di Grassi, and in turn, has closed in on Jean-Eric Verne. But that means that the gap would be back up to 5 points between Piquet at the top and Buemi in second place, and it would also bring Di Grassi just 13 points back. So that would close it up more. Here you can see it. So it would be 5 points up at the top, and then 13 points from Piquet in the lead of the championship to Di Grassi in third place. So that's important stuff as far as the championship is concerned, but Di Grassi could yet make up more positions.
And can Buemi counter with another fastest lap?
Yeah.
Because that's well driven there. The move he's made there, he's timed it to perfection.
Oh, he's right up behind Jean-Eric Verne. Verne in the orange and white Andretti, new livery for this weekend to celebrate their partnership with TE Connectivity. Into the final corner. Lock up from Verne. Di Grassi suddenly has got this speed out of nowhere, and without using any more energy than Nelson Piquet, he's suddenly disappeared on up the road.
In fact, using less, he would say.
Yeah.
He's gone. That's going to be demoralising. I'll tell you. In fact, I know it's demoralising. I've seen it happen to me. It's never a good feeling.
3 laps to go here in London. Sebastian Buemi leads, 1.2 seconds clear of Jerome D'Ambrosio. Here's a look at a replay of Sam Bird going for it on Loic Duval. That's coming into the lake chicanes, and Bird goes through. Good move from the Englishman, and he takes 7th position away.
Great move. Yeah, and he's now done a fastest first sector, old Sam. Bit of the red mist there. He had a great race going, and that long pit stop, 5 seconds too long, it put paid to certainly I would say a top 5.
That's Sebastian Buemi and Jerome D'Ambrosio we were just seeing from the helicopter, but Lucas Di Grassi is feeling racy. The top 4 all seem to be just closing in a little bit. Only 3 seconds between the top 4 as they flash through the long left-hander of 13.
D'Ambrosio's looking good with 28% usable power left. But I think Buemi's got it in hand here. He's driven a beautiful race so far.
Yep. The only thing that is going against him is that he hasn't got the fastest lap of the race at the moment. He's coming through now to start his penultimate tour of this 2.9 kilometre Battersea Park circuit.
That's a tough one. Do you risk everything now and go for those extra 2 points while leading the race? Do you just lay it all on the line to try and get those extra 2 points, which could make the difference tomorrow with the championship? What are you going to do? Are you feeling brave?
I'm not. I'm petrified. I don't know what's going to happen in this final conclusion of the FIA Formula E Championship season. Buemi leading the way, 1.1 seconds clear, but the same can be said of de Grassi. How worth it is it to attack Jean-Eric Verne?
Yeah. The thing with, with Jean-Eric Verne is it's, you know, he gets close, and he's got to have a sure thing. I don't think Lucas is going to risk it on a 50-50 move. I just don't see it.
Into the right-left. Verne takes a lot of speed in, really flicks the car up on the exit. This is in the Lake chicanes at the moment. That's Jean-Eric Verne up in front.
Lucas has gapped Nelson Piquet 5 seconds.
Yeah. I don't know where that's come from.
Yeah.
It's very unusual.
That safety car.
Well, I mean, Piquet pretty much got past and was side by side at certain points, and then it all disappeared, and just that one mistake, unless he picked up damage at that first turn or something like that, that's the only thing I can think of.
Very possible.
But it's Buemi leading the way. There's the Dragon Racing team.
Tidy Buemi's keeping it. You can see Jay Penske, he wants this thing over. They want a result today. They want another podium.
Final lap, and Jerome D'Ambrosio has 5% more usable energy. Through they come then, Buemi, D'Ambrosio, Verne, de Grassi. Then look at Sam Bird, right up behind Nelson Piquet with a lot more usable energy. 20% compared to the 9% of Piquet. So Bird could be on for a 5th place if he can find a move past on this final lap.
And you want to talk about somebody with nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Is Sam. Sam's had a season that's flattered to deceive every time and had all these things go wrong. This could definitely put a smile on his face here if he can get this move. And it's the last thing in the world that Nelson Piquet needs right now.
But this is also about to wrap up the championship for EDAMS as far as the Constructors' title is concerned. They're going to take a victory here, which will wrap up the team's title in the first year of Formula E. We're going to crown our first champions here today, but it won't be the driver's champion. Lucas de Grassi is right up behind Jean-Eric Verne now as they come down towards the Lake chicanes. But Buemi, it is, comfortably in control of this race at the moment. And he's only got a couple of corners left to go. It's going to bring the title fight right back in, and it's going to close everything up going towards the Formula E finale. Sebastian Buemi comes down towards the final corner at Chelsea Gate. He's about to win his 3rd Formula E race and bring himself right back into the title fight. Buemi crosses the line and wins in London. One more race to go, and he is right in the championship fight. EDAMS win the team title.
On a fait ce qu'il fallait. Nickel.
Further back, D'Ambrosio 2nd, Verne 3rd. Piquet just held off Sam Bird at the line by just 0.3 of a second. Prost in 7th, Duval, Turvey up into 9th in the end, and Stefan Sarazan completing the top 10. Buemi didn't take the fastest lap of the race, but all that means our top 3 drivers going into the title decider tomorrow are going to be separated by 13 points.
Between the 3.
Yeah. Happy days. Now let's hear from Alain Prost, the man who created this EDAMS team along with Jean-Paul Triot. He's with Nicky.
Alain Prost, what a way to finish the first day of this doubleheader here in London. Congratulations.
Exactly what...
I know you're very happy, congratulating the rest of your team, which is always a good sign.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
It's fantastic. You know, you can see. You know, we had in fact a difficult season and dominating a little bit, but it's good for this double event. It's fantastic. You know, we keep the motivation for tomorrow. We win a championship, constructor championship today. Sebastian and Nicolas have done a very good job. The team has done a very good job since.
What did you mention?
No, it's good. It's really exactly what we wanted to do. We're a bit lucky than Luca and Nelson are a little bit behind, so it's very open for tomorrow. You know, I think it should be around 3 or 5 points difference, depending on the lap record. But what is good is exactly what I wanted to have when I was racing Formula One. Try to be in position to still win a championship at the last race, because that's where you keep the motivation. So we are very happy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for a brilliant race. Well done.
Great to hear from Alain Prost, and what a line that was. We've It's been a difficult season, but we've dominated.
As a team they have, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been absolutely superb.
From when we showed up in Donington for the early tests, they just looked like they had it. They knew what they were doing. Both drivers consistently scored points. Both drivers won races. And that's the strength that's given them the team's championship. And they're still in contention with that man there, Buemi, for the Drivers' Championship tomorrow.
And maybe even after the performances of today, would you put them as favourites? Because I'm okay, they're not leading the championship, but based on today, can Piquet stop Buemi?
You would, and De Grassi smashed it with the fastest lap, 6/10 up the road.
Edams are the only team to have had both drivers take a victory.
Actually, correction, Bruno Senna was within 3/10.
Okay, good lap from Bruno Senna then in the Mahindra.
Yep.
In pulls Sebastian Buemi into Parc Fermé. The Swiss driver becomes the most winning in Formula E. His third win of this campaign. He won in Uruguay at Punta del Este. He won at Monaco. And now he wins in London, in the capital of the United Kingdom. And that really brings him into championship contention. I mean, genuinely, today couldn't have gone any better in terms of setting it up for a championship finale.
No, he nailed it. And it's not only the positive effect on Edams and Buemi, it's the negative effect on the competition. You can't say too much about that and how that's affected them. This morning we were almost giving Nelson the championship trophy. I certainly was, and he just nailed it.
Jean-Eric Verne with a third place finish, and that was only his second podium of the season, astonishingly. He's had 3 pole positions, and that's only his second podium. Jerome D'Ambrosio with a little comedy fall on his way away from the weighbridge. Good drive from D'Ambrosio.
Yeah, it was just nailed it. Didn't do anything super spectacular in any way, you know, good or bad, and you know, had a great day there. He's got to be happy with that. The Dragon team, I'm sure, are happy as well. It's good to see him getting another good result.
Yeah, they kind of not lost their way in the middle of the season, but kind of South America, they weren't quite running up towards the front as well as they were earlier on. So now we can hear from Jean-Eric Verne, and he has finished in third place in this race. As I say, only his second podium of the season so far, and that is going to launch him up into the battle over 6th position. Just to cross the I's and dot the T's, Nico Prost and Jerome D'Ambrosio are now out of the running for the title. It's all about those 3, Piquet, De Grassi and Buemi, a 3-way fight for the first ever Formula E title. You can see the spectacular Battersea Park, and what a race this has been. Here's a look at the classifications. Sebastian Buemi just less than a second quicker than Jerome D'Ambrosio in second place. Jean-Eric Verne completing the top 3. Lucas De Grassi in 4th, and then look how close it was for 5th place. Good drive from Sam Bird, actually, to finish in 6th position just behind Nelson Piquet Jr. That'll give him confidence going forward to the race tomorrow. Nico Prost in 7th position. Loic Duval finishing in 8th place. And that's a good performance from Duval. Then we had Oliver Turvey in 9th and 10th place for Stefan Sarrazin. Didn't see much of Simona de Silvestro, but she ended up finishing in 11th position. We've got Salvador Duran actually on the graphics in 11th position. Simona de Silvestro in 12th. Karun Chandok there in 13th position. So not quite, we might have had a problem with Salvador Duran's transponder because he's a little bit all over the shop, but not a good race for Fabio Lima. He needs to get used to the car a little bit. Bruno Senna was given a drive-through penalty, but still had good pace. Fontana, Abt and Yamamoto retired. Here's a look at how it affects the Drivers' Championship. 5 points between Piquet and Buemi at the top of the standings, and then De Grassi is just 13 points behind, and there are 30 points on offer tomorrow. So it's really tight. That's all I can say. It's really tight. Jerome D'Ambrosio, Nico Prost out of the running. Verne now only 6 points behind Sam Bird in the battle over 6th place in the championship standings. Abt and Heidfeld completing the top 10. No points again for Bruno Senna today. Loic Duval with his 8th place finish means he climbs up to 27 points. And so Bruno Senna, might be able to launch into the top 10 with a good race result tomorrow. So the team's championship is settled. Edams commandingly win it, 221 points, and they are well clear of Audi Sport Abt, 157 points for them in second position, third for Team China Racing. So now let's hear from our race winner. Commanding performance from Sebastian Buemi, really impressive stuff from the Swiss racer. He takes victory for the third time this year. He's with Nikki.
Sebastian Buemi, what a race. And also you've won the team's championship.
Yeah, that's already part of the job done. It's been a great day, so hopefully we can repeat a good race tomorrow. It's going to be a tight fight again, but I'm happy with what we did today. So now we just need to look at the data, look at everything, and try to achieve it the same tomorrow.
And exactly, I mean, be able to do that again tomorrow, is that possible? Can you get a good night's sleep tonight?
Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, it's going to be tough. You know, Jeff showed some strong pace, so it's going to be obviously difficult to beat him. But you know, we take race and session after session, and then we'll see where we end up.
Now, you did say before this race that your objective was, of course, you had to win, which you've done. So tomorrow, can you do the same again?
Yeah, I'll try really hard. I mean, nothing to lose tomorrow, basically. So I try as hard as I can to go for pole position and then win the race. Yeah.
You're not going to be tempted to celebrate tonight with the team championship?
No, I mean that's already part of it. We can celebrate tomorrow anyway.
Thanks very much.
Not really seen Sebastian Buemi quite so happy. You know what I mean? Like, he's really buzzing, you know?
Yeah, but when he wins, he's pretty happy. I tell you what I've seen all this year as he's developed throughout the season. When he's had a bad day, he's dealt with it a lot better as the season's gone on. And I think that's helped put him in this position. I mean, clearly he won the WEC last year with Ant Davidson, but he's matured as a driver.
So let's now hear from Jerome D'Ambrosio. Second place finish for the Belgian racer. Could he have won it?
Great results, and you're looking very happy.
Yeah, it's great. You know, great to be here in London and being able to be on the podium for the team. So very happy. You know, it was a tough race out there, a very bumpy technical track, but you know, I think we had some good speed. Now we're going to try to work on it again tomorrow.
And you said today you had absolutely nothing to lose. Are you going to come in with the same approach tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the weekend's good already, and we're going to, you know, we got to go for a little better tomorrow. So we'll try that. We'll see.
Thanks very much.
So now Jerome D'Ambrosio has got to leg it, because the podium's actually quite a way away. But the fans are being entertained nevertheless. Are you in there or no? Okay.
Yeah, no.
I was just checking you're still here.
Yeah.
Looks like the sort of thing you might be into.
No.
So great to see the fans that have gathered by the podium. It'll be Sebastian Buemi on the top step once they make it there in a couple of moments' time.
The thing about tomorrow, every track we've been to, you've had one day, that's it, get on with it. Tomorrow, you've got time to think about it overnight tonight and see how people react and how it changes the race and the qualifying tomorrow.
Will Jean-Eric Verne be able to go two better tomorrow and take victory? He's with Nikki.
Well, Jean-Eric Verne, who said that you couldn't overtake on this circuit?
I think I said. I wanted to prove I was wrong, and I did well. No, so it was a fun race, good overtakings, and I think I was pretty tight. No, I'm really pleased with the result. It's a shame not to win the race because we really had a fantastic car today, but the good thing is the podium, and the other good thing is that we got another race tomorrow.
Some brilliant defending there from yourself against Lucas di Grassi.
I didn't feel I had to defend anything, but maybe.
It looked pretty close from the screens.
Yeah, I don't think it was anywhere close to pass me, but it was a fun race, it was good.
It looked very entertaining. And now you've got to get back on it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly, it's a good thing. So no party tonight, good sleep, and another good day tomorrow.
Thanks very much, Jean-Eric Verne.
Remind me not to hang out with Jean-Eric Verne tonight then. So there is Sebastian Buemi taking the victory across the line as the checker flag falls. A really strong performance from the Edams team, and he's launched himself well into contention through the final corner and across the line. Really impressive stuff from Buemi. And there was the delight in the Edams garage. They said they wouldn't celebrate. They've got bigger fish to fry tomorrow in terms of the Drivers' Championship. And just to clarify what we were mentioning earlier on with the results, Salvador Duran was given a 49-second drive-through penalty after the race in a time penalty. So that's why he's dropped all the way down to 17th place, and that's why Simone de Silvestro finished in 11th place. Here's a look at the results then, the final classifications after the race. Sebastian Buemi, quickest on, well, winning the race, 9/10 of a second clear of Jerome D'Ambrosio at the end. Jean-Eric Verne third. Then the two Brazilians, De Grassi and Piquet, after their head-to-head on the racetrack. Would be great to hear what they made of their battle. 4th and 5th. Bird 6th. Prost, Duval, Turvey and Sarrazin completing the top 10. Then 11th place on her debut for Simone de Silvestro. Karun Chandok in 12th and Heidfeld in 13th. Lima, Trulli and Senna completing the runners. Salvador Duran was given a penalty after the race. He drops him down to 17th. And Alex Fontana, Daniel Abt and Sakon Yamamoto all retired from the race. So what a action-packed race it was, and entertaining as well. Here's a look at the Drivers' Championship. Nelson Piquet 5 points clear of Sebastian Buemi. Third place is Lucas de Grassi, 13 points back from Nelson Piquet. So 13 points between the top three with one more race to go, and 30 up for grabs. Jerome D'Ambrosio, 4th in the championship. He and Nico Prost out of the running. It's all closing in over 6th place. Daniel Abt and Nick Heidfeld completing the top 10. Then we got Jarno Trulli still down there in 20th place, trying to pick up some more points for the Trulli team, but he got a 5th-place grid penalty, which really put him on the back foot for the majority of the race today. So there is Battersea Park. You can see actually the fans amalgamating at the podium. There are the drivers behind the podium, ready to head out onto it. A little chat between D'Ambrosio and Buemi after what looked to be quite hard work out there. So the London Visa E-Prix, and we're about to get the podium procedure underway. Out comes Alain Prost for Edam's Renault onto the podium as the as the winning constructor and the champions. Fantastic.
There's a happy professor right there.
Third place for Jean-Eric Verne. Huge cheer for him after his third place finish. Second place for Jerome D'Ambrosio. Strong performance from the Dragon squad. And our race winner, Sebastian Buemi, taking victory in London. An embrace with Jean-Eric Verne, and now the Swiss national anthem. And now the French national anthem for Edam's Renault. The Edams team elated to hear the French national anthem. And so now it's time for the presentation of the trophies. So Richard Branson will be handing over the trophy to Alain Prost, Virgin Group founder. How he would have liked to have handed the trophy to himself up there on the podium, but it wasn't to be. 6th place for Sam Bird. This is great. I'm getting sort of goosebumps watching this. It's brilliant stuff.
It really is. It's great to see Sir Richard up there, but to see Alain Prost looking so happy.
Yeah. So now it's the 3rd place trophy handed out to Jean-Eric Vergne by the chairman of Formula E, Simon Frere. Delight for Jean-Eric Vergne. Antonio Banderas handing out the trophy to Jerome D'Ambrosio, and I think he gets the biggest cheer of them all.
This podium's got a bit of star power, hasn't it?
Doesn't it? Great performance from D'Ambrosio. And now the trophy awarded to Sebastian Buemi by Marc Antipoff, Visa Chief Officer for Sales and Marketing. Victory for Buemi in London, and he brings himself right into the title hunt. A superb first day at the Visa London E-Prix, and it's only going to get better tomorrow, because tomorrow we will crown our first champion. Buemi and Prost together on the top step. French speakers only on the podium in London, although I presume D'Ambrosio's got a bit of Flemish up his sleeve. Tomorrow, the forecast meant to be pretty nice at some points in the day, but the champagne is sprayed on the podium in London. Sebastian Buemi victorious, and he hauls himself back into title contention with a superb drive around the streets of Battersea Park. He'll celebrate for now, but then the hard work will begin ahead of the final climax of the FIA Formula E Championship tomorrow at Battersea Park. Victory for Buemi. Piquet still leads the title, and De Grassi's in there as well. Hands over the champagne bottle to the teams. Alain Prost says, I want some of that. As it's taken off into
I don't think he doesn't want to carry the trophy back.
No.
These trophies have a habit of getting lost between the podium and the truck, and then, yeah. So it's better to give it to somebody from the team, and then you know it's going to go in the right place.
Alain Prost, a little damp up there, but probably refreshing for it today. Beautiful day, and they're having a little conflab on the podium before they head off. And a really strong performance, and D'Ambrosio comes back out onto the podium to enjoy it a little bit more. Jean-Eric Vergne looking happy. So the crowds now begin to disperse after what has been a superb race here in Battersea Park. We can now hear from Lucas de Grassi whilst the top 3 were celebrating on the podium. We caught up with Lucas de Grassi in the pit lane, and is he out of the title reckoning? What does he think?
So how are you feeling after that race?
It was an amazing race, really happy. I did the best as I could. I had a problematic battery with the first car, so I really had to defend. But then with my second car, I used the energy at the time I thought I needed to use to get the fastest lap of the race, to get these 2 points, which were important, and to try to attack Jean-Eric Vergne in the end. It's a matter of strategy. I defended from Nelson, a couple of fan boost attacks, but that's it. That's racing. You have to defend, you have to attack, but I was within the rules, so all good.
There was plenty of action. Are you exhausted after that? Are you ready to do it all over again?
It was a lot of fun. What can I say? I will definitely do it again tomorrow.
And the championship title, can you beat that tomorrow?
I don't know how is the championship, by the way. 13 points behind the leader. So I took 4 points today. Yeah, so 13, 5 to Buemi, 8. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun race tomorrow, I think.
Yeah. You've got a lot to do, but I'm sure it's possible.
It's all possible. The showdown will be tomorrow.
Great, thanks very much.
He's absolutely right, Lucas de Grassi. The showdown will be tomorrow.
Good to see him smiling again. He had a couple of grumpy races there where just things were not going his way, and it was really good to see that. And as he says, the battle is tomorrow. It's going to be ramped up, turned up to 11.
Absolutely, can't wait for that action to get underway tomorrow here on the 2.9 kilometer circuit. Tomorrow is where the championship is going to be decided. Piquet versus Buemi versus Lucas de Grassi in 129 lap race here in Battersea. It's going to be absolutely superb. Cannot wait for it, but it's Buemi who wins today. A fantastic way to end the season. I mean, we haven't ended the season yet, but it was one of those where at the start of the year, when Formula E announced the calendar, we're going to be starting in Beijing, going all around the world and finishing in London, on the streets of London. I mean, I didn't quite believe it, and I think that's why today's quite a big moment as well, because it's happened, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. It was kind of like, yeah, it sounds like a great idea, but we've all seen races that were announced before and never came to fruition. It's come to fruition and then some. It's been a terrific event today on Saturday. As you say, tomorrow going to be even better with this championship coming down to the wire.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Really looking forward to that. Sebastian Buemi there signing the lens. Don't know if he realizes quite how expensive they are. So let's have a look back at the highlights of what has been a stunning London Visa E-Prix here at Battersea Park. The fans were out in attendance, ready for this 29-lap race. Lucas de Grassi, putting on his helmet ahead of the race getting underway. It started behind the safety car. There you can see Sebastian Buemi climbing into his car. And he would be the man starting on pole position. Piquet had maybe overdriven a little bit in qualifying. Everybody had their smartphones at the ready for when the safety car pulled in, and Buemi absolutely went for it. D'Ambrosio was nowhere near him, and that first start of the race really spread all the cars out. Then Nelson Piquet went on the attack, trying to go around the outside of Lucas de Grassi. They made contact. That could have ended a lot worse, but de Grassi held on to the position, and Stephen Liu clapping and then shaking the head, not happy with what he was seeing at all. Then we had move of the race, maybe move of the season from Jean-Eric Vergne around the outside of turn 13. Pretty good effort and got the job done under braking. And he then started to close down on Lucas de Grassi, who was doing a lot of defending in the early stages. This one was actually pretty good as well. Really on it, Jean-Eric Vergne, as he tried to gain places. And the Andretti squad over the moon with that. Piquet pushing hard, throwing it through the chicanes. Then the pit stop windows came around, and it was pretty much as you were in terms of the top order. Piquet swapping over, de Grassi swapping over his cars and getting back out onto the circuit. Sebastian Buemi had a little bit of a lock-up. And then Daniel Abt was under pressure from Oliver Turvey. Went wide there, that allowed Turvey through. Turvey had lost a lot of time in the pit stops, unfortunately. Abt then had a bit of wheel banging with Salvador Duran coming through the chicane, and then had a bit of wheel banging with the wall at the final corner, and that was a real shame. The Abt team watching on and trying to figure out what happened. Daniel Abt really annoyed. The Abt mechanics really sad. The Edam's crew were watching on with interest, though, as their man Sebastian Buemi led the way once the Qualcomm safety car had come back in. Nelson Piquet was so close to hitting de Grassi or losing it or everything. He might have actually touched him there, I think, coming down into the chicane. Super close. And that was the reaction on the pit wall. But it was the checker flag for Sebastian Buemi. He hauls himself back into title contention. At the start of the day, he was 20 points behind Piquet. Now he's 5. Really strong performance from Buemi. Exactly the way, frankly, that we needed this race to go to set it up for a perfect title decider tomorrow. Alain Prost overjoyed on the podium because Edams as well wrap up the team's championship. And it is Sebastian Buemi, the race winner in London. And he is right back in the title fight for tomorrow. Charming stuff there from Jean-Eric Vergne. So that is the end of the action for today here at Battersea Park. There you can see the Houses of Parliament there down in Westminster. So now let's hear from Nelson Piquet. I wonder what he made of that race. He's had his championship lead slashed.
Not quite the result you were hoping for today?
Well, I mean, this track is very difficult. I mean, track position is very important. So, yeah, I think when I got together with Lucas and I lost the position, obviously that didn't help. But, yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be hard to overtake over here. So, I mean, lost a place or gained a place, you know, I mean, that would have, I mean, we know it was going to be third, fourth, or fifth, you know, the result, and everybody is very, is on the limits of the car already. So, you know, we all know how much we can push the power, the temperatures and everything. So, I think, yeah, we just have to qualify a bit better tomorrow.
Was it difficult when to know to use the fan boost?
Well, I mean, I used it in one place, it didn't help. I tried to use it somewhere else where somebody else wouldn't predict where I was going to use it, but still was hard. It's a very tight track. It's very difficult to overtake, probably the most difficult one for the season, from the season. So yeah, I mean, I think yeah, we just have to do a better job tomorrow.
And how are you feeling about coming back and doing it again tomorrow?
Well, you know, it's good. I mean, we know we're quick. We just have to have better track position at the beginning of the race.
Thanks very much, Nelson Piquet.
So here's a look at the battles that they were having. Lucas de Grassi defending hard from Piquet. Piquet went to the outside, and a little bit of contact as Piquet tried to squeeze de Grassi. De Grassi thought that was a bit rude, so drove back into him. And it was reasonably fair, though.
Yeah, reasonably fair. Could have ended in tears, I'll tell you. Watch how the reaction changes there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. The highs and lows of racing right there.
And then this was so close.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas defended as you're allowed to. But yeah, if you're Nelson, you're going to hit him anyway just to show your displeasure. Didn't do any damage to either car.
No, but that's whoa, the back end really got out there from Piquet.
Yeah, that was right. That's what happens when the track drops away there with the crown in the road. And yeah, he just gave him drilled Lucas just a little bit. There's a nervous team man there, Mr. Schneider.
So a great battle between Piquet and de Grassi. Will we see more of that tomorrow? We can now hear from Daniel Abt, find out what happened to him in his battles. He ended up in the wall at the end of the race. He's been talking to Nicky.
So Daniel, can you just talk us through what happened out there?
Not quite sure. I mean, my outlap was pretty crazy. I don't know, I was really struggling with the car. It felt like I just couldn't properly turn it, and cars were passing me on the outlap, and then I had a small incident with Salvador Duran, and just shortly afterwards I tried to make the corner, but it felt like I could not brake, and then I also could not turn, and the car just went straight into the wall, and it's a shame.
Because you'd made some brilliant passes before that.
Not so much. I think our pace was quite good. We were a bit out a bit longer than some other drivers. Pit stop was good, so that helped us. And obviously, then it got a bit tight when I came out of the pits, and some guys were just around me. But yeah, I thought it would be good until that point. I actually felt really confident with the first car, but then yeah, it was just one lap and was a nightmare.
And you think you can pick yourself up off the floor and do it again tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have to fix the car, but the boys will do that. So tomorrow is a reset. It's all about qualifying. Today's been really bad. My qualifying was not good at all, so I have to raise my game for tomorrow.
Thanks very much.
13th in qualifying, Daniel Abt. This is how he came out of the pits. And he couldn't turn it at any point, it seemed.
No, that car, as soon as he went out in that car, it looked like he could not get it stopped to turn. So I don't know if there was something wrong with the car or what was going on. But look, he did it there, he did it in turn 8, and that caused this run up to turn 9, caused a problem. Salvador and him got together here. And, you know, not a big contact, certainly on the wrong side to cause the issue, but it was already in trouble before that. And then you see here just locking up and in the wall. It's almost like the corner weights were out or something. It's just not right.
Yeah, very odd. And
that was the result.
The Abt team looking like they maybe spotted something, but a real frustration for Daniel Abt, who's only had one podium so far this season. So we're all done here at Battersea Park. A couple more minutes of reaction to bring to you as the fans start to make their way. Well, no, they're hanging around still, aren't they? Good to see. And
oh, you would, wouldn't you? It's a lovely place to hang about. Absolutely stunning there. It's sitting in the sunshine here. Quite fancy an ice cream, actually, after this is all done.
Well, I'll do the last 6 minutes. You can go and get us some if you want. There are the fans who hopefully have enjoyed their day here. Certainly by the reactions to the drivers on the podium, it seems as though they'd had some good fun. Next person to hear from is Simona de Silvestro. She has had a good run, 11th in her first ever Formula E race. She's been talking to Nikki.
So Simona, what were your first impressions of a Formula E race?
Definitely different than anything I've experienced before, and the whole day, you know, everything was really busy and learning everything, and it was an okay day. I think we finished 11th. We moved in the right direction after the start, but for sure I'm looking forward to tomorrow because learned a lot today and should be a little bit more competitive tomorrow.
It's great to see that you moved up the grid. How did you find overtaking on this track?
It was really tough. Luckily, you know, we had a pretty good kind of strategy. We had a really good pit stop, and we're able to make quite a lot of time in saving the energy, so we could go pretty hard at the end. And yeah, difficult to pass. I think everybody struggled with that quite a lot.
And have you got used to the Formula E car and all the different technology that you now have to use with the regen paddle, etc.?
Yeah, I think today, you know, definitely was a big learning curve because it's something with the regen paddle that we never really used, like in any type of racing. So it was definitely new, but seemed to do quite okay. But you know, there's a few little tricks that you learn throughout the race that will help tomorrow.
Brilliant. Well, we look forward to seeing what you've got in store. Thanks, Simona.
Out over Prince Albert Bridge then, and over towards the Tube or towards South Kensington, something like that, and you're right back in the heart of the city. Walk over the bridge and you're in Chelsea. Phenomenal stuff. What a location this is for a race, and a great return to motor racing to London after 43-year absence. Another debut driver was Fabio Lima. Now he hemorrhaged energy in the early stages, and so let's hear from him how he got on. He's been talking to Nikki Shields.
Fabio Lima, first race here for Formula E. What was it like?
Yeah, it was really hard for me because especially I didn't know how it works over the weekend. So yeah, it was really hard for me. But overall, I'm really happy. And tomorrow we have a second race, so I can do it hopefully much better.
Yeah. Do you think having a night to sleep on it, think about the track, think about how the car works, is going to make a difference?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Because normally we have, you know, a month, a lot of a longer period of time in between races. So one night is probably good for you in this case.
Yeah, I think it makes, it will help a lot for me tomorrow, so I can go back to the hotels, then I can get to sleep, and then hopefully tomorrow it will be much better.
Thanks very much.
So that was Fabio Lima talking to Nikki a couple of moments ago, and a difficult day for Lima, and in general, in terms of debutants, Turvey and de Silvestro really stand out.
Yeah, I thought Turvey did a great job, and so did Simona. They did what they had to do, learned a lot. Let's see how much they improve tomorrow.
Let's hear from Oliver Turvey then, shall we? Seeing as we're talking about him, talking to Nikki.
Well, Oliver Turvey, what was your first impressions of your first Formula E race? I know you had a few issues in pit stop, but what happened?
Yeah, no, it was, you know, my qualifying went well. We qualified 7th, and for my first race, first time in the car today was, I think, you know, I was pretty pleased with the qualifying. And then, yeah, this first stint was going really well. I was running 7th and keeping pace with the guys ahead. I had Prost and PK ahead of me, so, you know, I was, you know, just trying to save energy and keep the similar pace. And we were pulling away from the guys behind, so, you know, I had a gap behind me. And when I came into the pits in 7th, I was pretty certain I was going to come out in 7th. And I don't know what happened at the pit stop, but the driver change went very well. We did the driver changes pretty quick, and then we were just sat waiting for the stopwatch, and yeah, we didn't go. Loads of cars drove out of the pits ahead of us, so I don't know what happened, but we seemed to lose a lot of time there, and then yeah, I was fortunately able to use the fan boost to get by a car coming out of the pits on the lap after, and then also get apt at turn 1 on the exit. So yeah, it was, you know, quite an exciting race. I think I'm just frustrated that we lost so much time at the pit stop, and you know, I really felt like we should have finished at least 7th, maybe it's further up.
Well, thanks very much.
Great debut for Oliver Turvey, but it's all about his teammate tomorrow. Nelson Piquet Jr. has a 5-point advantage over Sebastian Buemi. He's now also got a 13-point advantage over Lucas Di Grassi in 3rd place. The three-way title fight at the top of the Formula E Championship resumes here in London tomorrow.
When the lightning strikes, let's stand together.
When the moment comes, let's stand as one.